This is interesting. Exactly as I was saying. Exactly to the T. Scott Challen is marching us all into a martial lockdown. I'm telling you now. Isn't this grub Senator David Shoebridge? God, surely you can see the wood for the trees. Can you or not?
Sydney anti-Herzog protest, including the police investigation that follows. Take us away, Sue.
Thank you, David. Thanks everyone for joining in. I too just want to quickly acknowledge that I'm here on beautiful Gadigal land.
Oh, fuck up it is.
I'm here in my office in Parliament and very much missing my homelands up on Bungeland country. But look, I know this is a really big topic and my goodness, I actually want to start with something I really didn't think I would be starting with more than a couple of hours ago, and that is, I'm not sure if people have seen Chris Minns's latest news today, and that is he's decided to make what's referred to as Operation Shelter a permanent fixture of the New South Wales police state. For those that don't really know what that is, basically he's now got a bunch of police, 250 to be precise, dedicated police officers.
Right, Ed, before we go on, the false bullshit fucking about apparently Anthony Albanese and his little firecracker fucking moment, which we know isn't real. If you've got half a brain, you can tell that. Put that with Bondi and cops running around with rifles with live rounds. This has been a given. Go on.
A bunch of staff to support them. They're going to be armed with long arm rifles, and they are our new riot squad, as if we didn't already have a Raptor squad, a white riot squad, a public order squad, so forth. So just when you thought that things couldn't get more beefed up and more authoritarian and more frightening, really, he's done this, and he said in particular these police will be responding to large protests, amongst other things, but we're here to talk about protests. So that is today's news, and honestly, I feel a bit naive. I always think, God, just couldn't really do much more to make a police state. So I've snapped out of that entirely. I know that the reality is it can get worse, and it does get worse. But look, where we are right now, really, I think we've been building to this place for some years, but after the terrible incident we saw on Bondi Beach in December, the Parliament was recalled.
Straight away, disingenuous. It even looks like she's lying. Annoys the shit out of me.
New South Wales to do what I thought was a good idea and introduce some sensible gun law control, but instead of that alone, we brought some of the most draconian anti-protest laws this state has ever seen. And remember, before that, the Human Rights Law Centre had already tabled a report basically saying New South Wales has more anti-protest laws than any other kind of Western democracy government's jurisdiction. And yeah, that was then. And then on the 23rd, 24th of December, we introduced new laws, which, as you know...
that's enough. I would get really fucking annoyed. I actually get really annoyed with this shit. This shit they fucking dribble. Yeah, laws this and laws that. Law. They have done nothing but create this problem, and we have to suffer for it. Just let that fucking sink in for a minute, will ya? They created all this problem. These scumbags. They've been creating these problems for fucking decades. With their multiculturalist bullshit. creating a racism problem. They've created this racism problem. And by mixing cultures that simply don't mix. Now we've got this problem where we all want to destroy one another. We'd have just left them where they belonged, we stay where we belong, and not start mixing our cultures around and our man-made bullshit religions. Just walk in some faith, have some faith in Christ, live right. We'd be fucking over-nosed. But nah. I remember as a kid, right? And my grandfather used to like Pauline, but he was naive. He always thought that there was a political solution to this, when actually it's a political problem that's being created. It was quite the opposite. And it still is quite the opposite. So when you're looking at ideologies like this, when it's religious, so most people, the hardcore religion of atheism, don't think about multi-generational mission creep. It doesn't even enter their mind. Too stupid. I don't mean to insult you, but it's just so easy to do. Because this is on you. This is on politicians and short-sighted people who only think about shiny objects in their own lifetime, and that's it. Maybe their kids. Shiny objects. Stupid materialistic bullshit. You don't think about the multi-generational mission creep that is even Islam, I will say, but I'll go, when you talk to someone level-headed like Shahid Bolson, he's like, that's Islam? But Pauline's telling us Islam's this. And all these other religious nuts are telling us Islam's this. No, it's actually not. That's just more religious nuts coming from me. You religious nutters. It's another politics. It's all it is. It's just another form of politics. All your different religions are just different types of governments posing as religion. You're infiltrating governments with your religion, and religion's being infiltrated with politics. That's all it is. So this has been going on and coming in waves for years, and getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and we keep voting for more politicians to fix it when it's politicians creating it. They all work for government. Get that through your fucking head for a start. They all work for government. Doing what? Politics. What did we pay them for? To rule over us. Are you fucking mad? Apparently. Apparently everyone is. I mean, this ranting and raving and getting into fights, and Lydia Thorpe chucking tantrums like a fucking child, and Pauline getting around like fucking one of the fucking Thunderbirds or something in there. That other, whatever her fucking name is, with the fucking towel wrapped round her head, carrying on like a goose. Hey, the fellas in there fucking having pissing competitions, and then they all go and have dinner together. At our expense. Now, I'll see if I can find it. Alright. Bear with me for a second. I don't know, buddy, I never clicked on that. It just, like, what gets me wound up is I see straight through bullshit. I see straight through it. And I'm like, fuck, this annoys me. Pauline Hanson denounces violent threat against the Prime Minister. What? It never happened. It's all made up. Here we go.
Make decisions on behalf of all of us, and frankly,
Right, we'll watch some of this, and then we'll go back to what we was just watching. These are the things that my little pattern brain fucking instantly goes straight to. Puts the two things together. They're obviously the thesis and antithesis.
particularly in the last 10 years, they have stuffed it, most of them. So it's getting extremely dangerous. Now this man, he is going to sort them out, aren't you, Scott?
Probably not.
Scott is
He's one
co-founder of Australia's Lobby Group. Yeah. He's a successful businessman, ex-defence force, passionate Australian, and a man you can rely on. And he's a man who gets things done. That's why I like him so much. So would you please welcome Mr. Scott Challen.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone can hear me okay. I do have a PowerPoint tonight, so I'm probably going to need the dabber, wherever that is. Oh, there it is. Yeah. All right, can everybody see that? Everyone hear me okay? All right, spicy memes. Who's here? Who was here for my last time I did this? Yep, a few hands that go up here. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not my intention to offend anyone. The problem with...
When I listen to Scott Challen talk, and I watch him do these, because I watched all of Ricardo back in the day, it's like he went to the same school. It's like listening to the same rhetoric.
With these conversations now is that it becomes so easy to offend people that I literally have to say to you that for the purpose of education and the purpose of having a difficult conversation sometimes about the future of our country, some of this content you might find offensive. But under 18C, because it's a public gathering, I've got to let you know that in advance, and hopefully none of you are going to push charges on me. So it's streaming it to YouTube to make sure that somebody's offended anyway. Let's have a crack. Why am I here? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here because I got involved in the anti-mass immigration protests that we all saw last year. And there's plenty of people in this room that went to one of those events. We ran 3 of them, August 31, October 19 and Australia Day. Fantastic. Brilliant events. Thank you to everyone who came. Plenty of the hats around, plenty of support. And what we saw was we put a signal in the air and we got Australians to respond that they want to have a conversation about what the future of our country looks like. That's what you want. That's what we want. We want to be able to talk about it. Because right now they're shutting us down and no one can talk about anything. But what's the point of just marching? Like, we can march till the cows come home. Well, we've got to turn that energy into some kind of activation or some kind of momentum and movement that actually achieves a result. So what's the result? Well, do we want to form another political party? Because I don't know about you, but we've seen plenty of minor political parties come and go. Australia is a train wreck of minor political parties. And look where we're at. We're still not winning. We're still losing. Every day the left is destroying us. So what would be the point of creating another political party out of this? Now, speculation was rife. Oh, you're going to start a political party. You're going to run for Jared Rennick's party. You're going to run for One Nation. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. Well, no. We went, let's change the game. Let's look at this from a different angle. Let's look at this from a perspective of what does big business do? What do foreign interests do? What do? They create a lobby group. They get it registered. They turn up in Canberra. They knock on politicians' doors and they get what they want. They get what they want. Now, you vote for these people to go to Canberra in this representative democracy and you don't get represented. What you get is a lobby group knocking on their door saying, hey, these windmills in your electorate would be wonderful. And we just need you to send all this money to China. That's what you get. That's the reality of it.
Well, don't get me wrong. He sounds like he's singing our song. He really does, doesn't he? I'll agree with that. He sucks me in. He nearly sucks me in when he talks. But I've got to remind myself of something.
Australia has a mass immigration problem. Why do we have a mass immigration problem? Suicidal culture. For some reason, we're being led down the garden path here. We're on a one-way track. I'm just horrified to hear that we're literally going to be the minority in our own country before too long. If we're not having this conversation now, we're buggered. So we can look at this from the perspective of we're economic units, or we can look at it from the perspective of we want to save our culture. I want to look at it from both perspectives, but I can't have this conversation that the white people are better than the brown people, because potentially I could go to jail for that. But I want to live in a country that's predominantly my village, my tribe, my people. You mentioned before that, you know, we can only handle a certain amount of people in our kind of circle. I was thinking back to my military days. You know, a section is 8 to 10 men. Your platoon, your flight, I was in the Air Force, 30 people. You know, your company, your squadron is about 120. And that's because that's about the size of the village that you can handle working with before shit becomes unmanageable. So how big do we want Australia to be? Well, we've got a mass immigration problem here, and we've got a mainstream media telling you that we need millions more people to build more houses for the millions more people. Hang on. That math ain't mathin', is it? So here we are, trying to wake up Australia. Look at all you wonderful people that are here because you woke up. You woke up and you read the news and you went, hang on a second, that doesn't look right. And we had an opportunity when COVID came to reset this country. We had an opportunity, well, hundreds of billions of dollars in debt, but we had a chance at that point to go, maybe we should try something different. But what did these useless uniparty governments do? They opened the gates and went, let's keep the Business Council of Australia happy. Let's have a round table on productivity and how we get more workers in, and let's open the gates and let them all in. From cultures that don't fit with your culture. Because while God might have made all men equal, it did not create all cultures exactly the same. And I'm rather fond of my Australian culture. So here we are, trying to wake up Australians. Wake up. Wake up. George's been doing this for years. You guys have been coming along to these meetings for years. We're all trying to wake people up. And I think something happened last year. Something changed after August 31. There was a conversation that started being had. It was like, hang on, maybe it's all right to talk about this stuff. Maybe. Wrong button. So what do? We can march around in circles till the cows come home. But we went, let's create something that gets us in the door of Canberra. And it turns out that there's this, like, it's not even a secret. Anyone can register a lobbyist as a lobbying company or a lobbying group. And anyone can then register as a lobbyist. All you got to do is register with the Attorney General's office. I own a building company. I'm licensed in 3 states. It's difficult to do what I do. The easiest thing I've ever done was register as a lobbying company. My God. It was literally 48 hours from submission to approval. I've never done anything with the government that quickly. 48 hours. We were a registered lobby group. PTY Ltd company, bank accounts were opened, bang. Registered lobbyist, Lachlan Lade, some of you people know him. He's our lobbyist. Company formed. We get down to Canberra. Oh, lost it. Sorry, I missed a bit there. The lobby company itself. Myself and Sam Bamford, another ADF veteran, formed the company. Some of you guys would have heard of Sam before, Two Worlds Collide podcast. If he's watching this, I hope he hears that. A great Australian patriot. A great Australian patriot. Well, went on Sam's podcast last year to talk about the marches. Sam and I ended up chatting. Sam ended up coming to our October 19 march in Brisbane. We were along like a house on fire, and next minute we're in business together. So we registered the company. So the lobby group is a company, it belongs to Sam and I. It's an entity that has to run like a normal company. BAS statements, taxation, all the rest of it. Sam and I both own it. Lobbying has a history in Australia. It's one of the world's oldest professions. Does anyone want to guess what the other oldest profession is? It's been influencing power since forever. It's often called patronage networks in ancient civilizations. So influence of governments, it's been around forever. In Australia, structured lobbying was formalised in the early 2000s, and in 2008 the Australian government introduces a lobbyist register, which is essentially what the Australian Lobby Group is now, a registered lobbying company. So it's got a bit of history. It goes back a long way. People have been trying to influence governments forever. Does anyone know who this clown is? Sam Dastyari, the one, the only. What did Sam do? Sam went, you know what? You Chinese people make me feel really special. You make me feel really special, and maybe I'll let you buy me something. And maybe in return, I'll push some policies that might be favourable to your interest. Sam is a classic example of a corrupted politician influenced by foreign lobbying. Foreign lobbying. Now we have a Australia First motto here. We're not foreign interests at the top. Why no foreign interests? I don't care where you come from. I don't have time for your blood feud, your cult, any of that stuff anymore. I simply don't care. And to be honest with you, I don't think any of you care either. We're done with it. If it's not Australia First, it doesn't matter anymore. That's the motto of the lobby group. Is this Australia First? Oh yeah, if you do this gas deal and we sell all this stuff here and you guys get fractions of the pennies and we get all this advantage, that is not Australia First, right? We found out this week that beer tax makes more money than gas does in Australia. Fantastic. Sam Dastyari. The Sam Dastyari effect. Sam took money from the CCP interests and advocated for them. But why are we focusing on foreign lobbying? Because foreign lobbying is influencing almost every single thing that's happening in Australia. And you're like, what do you mean foreign lobbying's doing that? Do you think that this cohort of bureaucrats and politicians came up with that Bondi legislation in that short amount of time themselves? I mean, let's be honest about this. That legislation was written sitting on a shelf waiting to go. Waiting to go. Waiting to go. It's been sitting there waiting for that moment. Was it Dick Cheney who said never let a good crisis go to waste?
No. Winston Churchill.
Legislation and trade deals that do not benefit Australia are often lobbied for by interests outside of Australia to weak politicians. They're weak, subhuman people who don't have any ability to say no and think that they're special because they were elected, and now they've got lobbyists knocking on their door saying, you're special, Sam Dastyari. Their interests are outside of Australia, have zero place in our country, talking about political class and doing deals that do not benefit Australia. Foreign lobbying is a big business here. ASIO outlines it as a high risk to our national security. Well, if ASIO is outlining foreign lobbying as a high risk, why are we still allowing it to happen? Why are foreign lobbyists allowed in Parliament? Sorry, shouldn't happen. As far as we're concerned, that's done. So our number one policy, number two policy, the first one is to end mass immigration. Number two policy at the Australian Lobby Group is to end foreign lobbying. We're done with that. Ridiculous things that we see constantly. Josh Frydenberg's coming to save the country of the opposition. I laughed. Elbow, I stand for every cause in the world. I'm a white gay Muslim convert and I'm finally at peace. When they behead him, perhaps. Ridiculous things. You see ridiculous things everywhere you turn now. Every day you open the news, you open your Instagram, open your Snapchat, open whatever, and you see ridiculous things constantly bombarding you, stealing your attention so that you don't think about the real issue here.
So he's already gone into that when they're beheading you. Okay, all right, fuck off.
Real issue is that there are people stealing your country. That's a fact.
Yeah, Israel.
Where did the Bondi legislation come from? Who did it benefit? I didn't see any right-wing neo-Nazis pulling triggers at Bondi. And I'm no fan of the Nazis, don't get me wrong. Those guys do not like me either. Holy cow. Right, been in their sights and targets for a while. But I will defend their right to free speech until the day I die. Sorry? They have, that's correct. But I don't see them arresting any Muslim hate preachers from the western suburbs.
This is where I get shitty. Exactly, you said it in a nutshell, from the western suburbs. These aren't Muslims, people. They're Western convert fruitcakes. Yes, there are plenty of them over in the Middle East as well. But they are not desirable people. Do I agree with the deportation? Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. But just attacking them all the time, at the end of the day, if we went through generations of being pillaged, plummeted, pummeled for our resources, kind of like we have, except they buy ours, we just give ours up because we're cucks. But if we were being shelled all the time for our resources, I reckon we'd be pretty radical too, wouldn't we? Like, come on. Like, there's fair. And we're about to get to the bit where I want to point out.
So, where did the Bondi legislation come from? It was written, ready to go. Rock and roll. And of course, while you're distracted, being broke, trying to survive, I know we've got a bit of an older crowd here tonight. Trust me when I tell you that Gen Z and millennials are hurting out there. They are hurting. And their mortgages are killing them, and their rent is killing them, and everything is making them poorer. And then we find out that 54% of the population now receive primary income from a government source. That's called a tipping point. You pass the tipping point. Now, when you're all dependent on the government for your primary income source, are you going to object against the government? So they've captured you.
NDIS. That's NDIS. That tipping point is where I get shitty. It'll be someone like me who gets a finger wagged and called a parasite or self-entitled. With the amount of tax I've paid over the years, owning a business and so forth, but I get the finger pointed at me. Nah, it's NDIS. I have a son out there in the kitchen now making himself some noodles. He has level 2 autism, and I refuse to accept any NDIS for him. I care for him. I care for him. I read with him. I found a tutor for him. It's like, I'm not saying I'm special. What I'm saying is, it's all doable without NDIS. NDIS is a fucking racket. That needs to be ended. In fact, I'm going to talk about that with Lee as well on Saturday. I'm going to probably need half a dozen meetings with her. Because, anyway, we'll come back.
Captured you. Now, if you've worked your whole life and paid in towards our taxation system and you're on a pension, thank you so much for your service to our country. I really appreciate it. But unfortunately, we're bringing in people into this country that are 50, 55 years old to work in healthcare, NDIS, in the regions, and they are not here long enough to support themselves in the taxation base to receive a pension, and we're paying it. Why? Why? Economically, the place is a train wreck. You look around you, everything's pretty, the pub's nice, you're still buying beers, maybe half as many as you used to for some of the people in this room. But look what happened to real wages. I know there's a lot of people that are probably self-funded here. A lot of people that have worked really hard their whole lives. What happened to our economy post-COVID? It collapsed. Real wages, what your money is worth. Elbow sat there in that Karl Stefanovic interview today and said that inflation had a 3 in front of it instead of a 5. Fucker and fuckatash. A 3 in front of it. I'm in the building industry. I can tell you it's running somewhere between 8 and 12 every year, compounded. 8 and 12. He's lying to you. Your economy's screwed. And the only solution they've got is to pump more people in here like it's going out of fashion to try and pretend that everything's fine. The GDP's great. What's the UK doing? Same thing, right? Pumping them in, pump them in, pump them in, come on. They're lying to you about everything. Now, we could have created another political party and gone out there and told you about the lies, but we thought, let's make a lobby group instead and let's go out there and tell you about the lies. Here we are. Labor is training more tradies to build more homes for the millions of migrants that are coming to build more homes for the millions of migrants. The never-ending doom loop. It never ends. It goes on and on. Nothing they tell you is accurate. Everything these guys tell you from Team Red and Team Blue is a lie as far as I'm concerned now. 50,000 apprentices quit in the last year. We're down to below less than 400,000 now. They keep telling you they're creating more TAFE places and more trainees. It's not happening. They're not sticking. Employer subsidy support for apprentices. I own a building company. It used to be 50%. I used to get half of my apprentice wages paid. It was a great system, and it helped us put apprentices on. We're down to 2%. 2%. So that's what I get. So I've got to pay same job, same pay. These are the rules that the Labor Party brought in. Same job, same pay. So there's no junior rates in the construction industry anymore. You're a 17-year-old kid. You've got no tools, no skills. You're white skinned. You're going to get burnt the first day. I've got to pay you the same money as the 45-year-old guy. No junior rates. Hey, talk about equality. Come on, pump up the housing Ponzi. Let's go. 5% deposits. Who's winning? Who's winning? The bank. The bank. You nailed it. You nailed it. The bank. Up to 45% in New South Wales of a new home build now goes to 3 levels of government. Local, state and federal. That means the bank is writing $1 million mortgage with $450,000 of that going to 3 levels of government. Who's paying that mortgage off? Your first homeowner, and you're guaranteeing that loan at 5%. This is where we're at in the Ponzi scheme right now. It's a Ponzi scheme being driven by population growth. I've got a better idea. 2% deposits. Who's ready for that one? Shall we go for 2? What do you reckon? Shall we just finance 105% of the house and you guys guarantee that loan for the most profitable banks in the world? The only other organisation in this country you can't criticise are the banks. Their profits are guaranteed, their deposits are guaranteed. My God. In Australia, 36 banks compete for your home loan. In America, it's 13,000, and you have a home loan interest rate fixed for the life of the loan. In here, Australia, we gamble because we're all sports bettors. Hope the variable rate's good. This is what Gen Z are seeing. Faces of a bright future. Does that look like my tribe? Allow me to explain your country's identity to you and how it includes me. Welcome to Australia, the great multicultural soup. When you are a multicultural, you have no culture, you do not exist anymore. I love my culture. I love Australia. It's why I'm here doing what I'm doing. It's why you're here doing what you're doing. We all want the same thing, a wonderful, thriving country with the opportunity for our children to be able to build businesses and families, to increase the birth rate from 1.4, another reason they pump migrants in, to 2 point odd where it needs to be sustainable. There's countries on the planet that are doing it. We're told that we need to bring migrants in because we're not replacing ourselves. We're not replacing ourselves because people can't afford to have kids. It's as simple as that. There's an online meme war going on. A lot of you people that are here tonight have seen me because of the online stuff. We can move and pivot faster than the mainstream media can. We can create content today, have it out in 14 seconds, have 10,000 likes, 1,000 shares, and ultimately see that thing go viral in 4 hours. That's the power of where we're at. And that's why we are getting traction, we're getting momentum. So every time you like and share something, you're helping the cause. Helping the cause. In the water-imposed global Zimbabwe, we're all Rhodesians now. I look back at history now and go, geez, that Rhodesian story's a bit of an interesting one. Look what happened. We're about to become global Zimbabwe. That's what's about to happen. Gen Z. Did you know 1/3 of Gen Z was aborted? 1/3. You want to talk about a genocide? 1/3 of Gen Z babies were aborted. Where's your replacement birth rates? Yay, empowerment. So the lobby group, we registered our own lobbyist, Lachlan Lade, the guy on the left. You guys know him? What an amazing young man. From North Queensland, Jill knows him very well, good friend of mine. He was, that's right. Lockie is our registered lobbyist. Okay, so he represents the lobby group in Canberra. Lockie and I went to Canberra 2 weeks ago. We went and met with a number of senators and politicians. We were well received in Canberra because we're lobbyists. You can't get voted in, but by God, you can buy a company and register a lobbyist and get in there. Welcome to Canberra. Felt like I was in a video game in Parliament House, surrounded by non-player characters. My God, these people had no souls. But there's some great support down there. Now, the Australian Lobby Group has a page of policies. We have 50 website. We have policies. One Nation has policies. We want One Nation to adopt our policies. We're not going to adopt One Nation's policies, so we're going to knock on the door and say, let's talk about our policies. That's what we're here for. One Nation welcomed us with open arms. We had a great conversation with Pauline. It was wonderful. Like her, love her, don't like her, whatever, it doesn't matter. She's been around for a long time, and she's about to become potentially the opposition government in this country. Or, by some miracle, and God knows we're looking at some weird shit right now, what if she forms government? Why are you talking to One Nation, Scott? Because that right there could be the most powerful woman in this country in the next 12 months. Totally possible. So Lockie and I went down and met with Pauline. We also met with Colin Boyce, Nationals lower house member from Upper Gladstone Way. You guys familiar with him? Why do we like Colin? Because Colin voted no to the 2025 anti-Semitic and hate speech bill. Colin's a bloody legend. Colin has sponsored Lachlan for his access into Canberra. A great man, we support him, and we'll do everything we can to, give him the love that he deserves for helping us as well. So Colin, great guy, North Queensland, the Nationals stood strong on that horrible legislation. Didn't help us, but by God they showed principle. And isn't that what we want to see in our politicians right now? Now those Liberal politicians who went and voted, but we fixed it, we changed this, and I don't care about that anymore. We just want to see you stand on principle. Very disappointing. So what did we get Pauline to do when we met with her? On video. We met with her on video because we're social media influencers and we get tens of thousands of views and lots of likes and millions of shares and all the rest of it. We got her to commit to reviewing when she's in opposition or in government, to working to repeal the Criminal Code Amendment, sorry, I haven't got my glasses on, Hate Crimes Bill, the Combating Anti-Semitism, Hate and Extremism Bill, and Section 18C of the Racial Discrimination Act. She committed to that. That's a tangible deliverable from the Australian Lobby Group to you. She committed to that on camera, to the audience. Hundreds of thousands of views. Now she goes back on that. What are we going to do? You lied to us. You lied to us. And we got it on camera that you're lying to us. I think that we're activated enough now to be able to hold their feet to the fire. The first win for the Australian Lobby Group. Actually, the first win was getting registered. That was easy, but second win. And look what's happening. My God. New South Wales, right? Or Farah. Yeah, One Nation, 31.4%. Isn't it funny how, all of these lefties have been saying, you need to move further left to win more votes. You finally get a right-wing party, and my God, look what happens. South Australia is going to be fascinating. I bet everyone in this room is going, my God, wait and see what happens here. Angus Taylor's message to One Nation voters. Oh my God. Him and Elbow will be having conversations shortly. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We're buggered. So, we want to make sure the Australian Lobby Group is talking to the people that are going to be in power. The people that are in power, well, they're going to be potentially in power, they like us. We're friends with them. There we go. All right, back to memes. I love net zero. Really? So do I. Emissions? No migration. We want to cut migration massively. Massively. We should be looking to repatriate Australian citizens that have left the country with all their money and get them to come back to Australia. That's the only people we should be looking to bring back here. That's it. So what's next? The Australian Lobby Group is going to be sending Lachlan back to Canberra in March. And then we're going to run a massive rally event in Canberra, which you're all invited to come along to. Unfortunately, I'm not paying for you to come. You have to make your own way there. The Australian Lobby Group is sponsoring and will be supporting our national movement to end mass immigration in Australia. And we're going to kick that off on the 26th of April, the day after Anzac Day. I've had people say to me, it's disrespectful to the Anzacs. It's the day after. 25th is a Saturday, 26th is a Sunday. We're going to have a rally in Canberra. Hopefully we'll get as many people as we had in Brisbane. And we're going to put the signal up that we are about to embark on a national tour to take it on the road to every capital city in the country and a bunch of tier 2 regionals. And we're going to activate people that will come back to Canberra for Remembrance Day week, the 11th of November, to come back to Canberra and hold the largest rally that Australia's ever seen. That's what we're going to do. That will be a national effort to build momentum from September.
Right, it's enough of that. Hold on to that, what he just said. The largest rally the nation's ever seen. Excuse me.
Human Rights Law Centre had already.
I'll come back to this again, just for a refresher.
Tabled a report basically saying New South Wales a permanent fixture of the New South Wales police state. For those that don't really know what that is, basically he's now got a bunch of police, 250 to be precise, dedicated police officers, a bunch of staff to support them. They're going to be armed with long arm rifles, and they are our new riot squad, as if we didn't already have a Raptor squad, a white riot squad, a public order squad, so forth. So just when you thought that things couldn't get more beefed up and more authoritarian and more frightening, really, he's done this. And he said in particular these police will be responding to large protests, amongst other things, but we're here to talk about protests.
You see how those two things fit together? Don't get me wrong, I would love for what Scott Challen's doing to work, but it's not going to work. And there's why. That's just the 250 dedicates now that are already operational. Let's see if this comes up.
Burnout.
This is 1 year ago. You got to remember things. Right? It's a must. Go away.
It was reported that the Queensland Police are launching a recruitment drive to attract 2,500 recruits over the next 5 years from overseas. Now let me explain why they can't find recruits in Australia and why they need to go overseas. Police forces across Australia are among the most corrupt organisations in our history, and they're littered with bullies. And a decent person wants nothing to do with antisocial behaviours like bullying or corruption, so they won't join the police force, or if they do, they end up quitting. Now, decent people make up the vast majority of our population. In fact, statistics show that less than 6% of the population have an antisocial disorder, so the pool is very small. You know, if the police stopped operating on fear and started operating on care, then they'd have more authority and they'd get more respect. Decent people would want to join, and they wouldn't need to import more bullies from overseas.
And of course that won't work.
National Set.
You want to know why that won't work? The way the legislation was set up is that they don't need Oh, did that mix people with peanut butter? They don't need Australian citizenship. And they're from overseas. So this will be 2,500, and that was 5 years ago. So that'll be 2,500 cops now from overseas in Australia, here, now. With no connection to Australia. No connection to Australian people. You see where that's going to be a problem? So, that's been 5 years in the making. Now Scott Challen's rising as Ricardo Bosie II. He's going to hold the biggest rally in Australia ever. In November he plans, but he's going to have a series of rallies around Australia first. Can we see the martial law unfolding here? The riots? The absolute, complete and utter destabilisation? Scott, please think about how you're doing this. I'm going to talk to Lee about this. Definitely going to talk to Lee about this. If you really want to get their attention, like he said, marching around in circles till the cows come home will get you nowhere. And he's right, it won't. It doesn't matter how many people turn up. The more people that turn up, the more it'll be looked at as a national, as a national state of emergency. And then they'll bring the military in. Now, Scott, you should know that. Are we going to address other things like the law in this country? Because there isn't any. There's only a legislature that's running roughshod over its own people. So that's a first and foremost. We have to fix these problems for people to even be able to be functioning members of a society when the society is just... I don't want to participate with the society out there. I'm not interested. And it's not because of immigrants, it's because of police. Because it's a police state. Not because of immigrants. Very different scenario here to the mainland. I know, I've lived in the mainland. There we go, people. I feel like it's being set up to go to custard. That's just what it feels like to me. I could be wrong, but rather, even more than it feels like that's how it's been set up, it's on the other side of that same coin. I can't see it going any other way. There's too much animosity between the blue line and the people. There's way too much. It's going to go loggerheads for sure.